Hey guys, this is Illusion Podfic, and today we're going to be reading Glowsticks and Bullet Holes by Hyperius. This is Chapter 5. Breaking news! A LexCorp warehouse faces destruction as explosions rack through the building. Currently, firefighters are working hard to distinguish the fire before it spreads. Fortunately, there are no reports of any casualties as of yet. Lex Luthor claims the explosion was caused by faulty wiring and is looking into preventative measures to keep any similar instance from happening in the future. The news continues to drone on about the warehouse explosion as Red Hood and Green Lantern stumbled into Hal's apartment. Ow! Ow, 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 ow! That hurts, you bitch! Jason was a little toasty, one could say. The explosion rocked through them, and though Green Lantern was strong enough and quick enough to make a protective shield around them, but the blast was still deafening and the heat overpowering as they shot into the sky like a big green bullet. Unfortunately, despite the protection, Jason is only human. Without some weird alien power protecting him, and the heat still singed. Not too bad realistically, but he has some bad experiences with explosions, and the mental pain easily manifested as physical hurt. Oh, come on, you big baby, you're fine. Hal helped him into the room, carefully setting him down on the couch. He really did hope Jason was being a baby rather than something else, like an actual injury. Explosions were dirty business, good for destruction and pain, and, though pretty, Hal thinks they're good for a little else. Once Jason was settled comfortably on the couch, Hal leaned back on the balls of his feet to look the boy over. He tried to assess the damage, frowning when he saw the white tuft of hair in front of Jason's head was singed, as well as slight burns on his arms. None of them seemed too bad, but even the smallest of injuries could lead to a great deal of negative consequences when not treated properly. Hal definitely learned that the hard way. You stay here, I'll grab the first aid kit. Jason nodded as Hal went to his bathroom, grabbing his kit from beneath the sink. His first aid supplies were more than the average Joe, but less than what the normal bat carries. Hal returned and set the kit down, kneeling in front of Jason to better reach his injuries. Take off your shirt. I would say I don't put out without a proper first aid, but I think as vigilantes we can count a botched mission as a first date. Hal scrunched up his nose. I'm pretty sure I'm old enough to be your dad, so that's a no for me. Besides, he thinks, Jason is like 19 or 20, maybe? Either way, too young for Hal to consider dating. And honestly, even if age wasn't an issue for Hal, he thinks that even if Jason was old enough, having two disaster magnets stuck together wouldn't be a good idea. With a scoff, Jason rolled his eyes. I didn't think you were so old. What's your skincare technique? Ancient alien magic. A surprised bark of laughter escaped Jason, and he slowly felt the tension from the botched mission begin to bleed from his shoulders. Being stuck in the explosion sent Jason right back to the time where he wore a yellow cape and a carefree smile. Romantic laughter echoed through the air, and his mother's sobs were heard from where she was tied up. It always hurt being forced to go back there to remember everything that he never wanted to remember the fear that coursed through him, the resignation he felt when he realized no one was coming, when he realized he was abandoned and about to die. It hurt. It always hurt. And though he knows it was from another life, it was still a part of him. It will always be a part of him, trauma that clung to him like a leech and fed off his very heart and soul. Still, he's healing. He's getting better. He's not panicking like he used to. Nor is he letting green rage control him. Maybe Alfred's therapy really is working. He removed his shirt with a little wince when the movement stretched his burns, leaning back to allow Hal better access to his arms. Hal carefully swabbed the burn with alcohol, cleaning the wound before wrapping it. Once finished, he sat beside Jason, sitting shoulder to shoulder in an attempt to be a reassuring presence, but not overwhelming. It seemed to work, as Jason let just a little more tension bleed from his shoulders. Hal heard the stories, heard of how Robin died. He knew the explosion probably wasn't pleasant for the other. However, he's surprised at how well the other was taking it all. And unfortunately, he had no brain-to-mouth filter. You're really calm for what happened. What happened? Shit. Yeah, the explosion. I thought that I'd be freaking out. Hal nodded and Jason huffed. It's unpleasant, puts me in a... It does bring me back, but believe it or not, the explosion wasn't the worst part of it. Oh shit, really? Yeah, the clown and the crowbar were pretty bad, Jason huffed, his tone taking a dry and sarcastic lilt. A coping mechanism Hal was very much accustomed to. Hal didn't know what to say to that. Oh. Also, the explosion didn't kill me. Well, that went against what Batman said. Oh? Yeah, it was the smoke afterwards. I choked on it. Oh. Really, what did Hal even say to that? What was he supposed to say? Maybe he should take a note out of Zuko's handbook and hit him with the, "That's rough, buddy." But at the same time, that seems a bit insensitive, even for him. Well, that sucks. Huh. That probably wasn't much better. Jason snorted. The casual, seemingly innocent disregard of his trauma was actually nice. It made him feel less like an undead freak and more like a guy who hit a rough patch at the ripe old age of 12. But it also caused some awkwardness because Hal was apparently as emotionally inept as Bruce. But at least he tried a bit harder. Jason still doesn't appreciate the awkwardness of the situation, but at least Jason has had great practice disengaging these situations. Changing topics, ignoring emotions, and pretending the emotional bonding never happened. It works wonders. Why is Lex blaming our break-in on faulty wires? And even if he knew the answer to his own question, it's the thought that counts. If he said vigilantes broke in, he'd have to talk about why vigilantes would want to break in. That'd be worse. I doubt anyone really buys it. Hal shrugged. Civilians probably do. The hero community? They both knew the truth. Do you really think Luther would ever let there be faulty wires anywhere near his building? No hero would buy it. So Superman knows. And that's really the point of this whole conversation. Are they going to have to worry about Superman coming in and busting their jam? Because Jason really does not want that. But they crossed into super territory when they targeted Lex. So it'll only make sense for the overpowered baby to come and investigate. However, Superman hates Jason and Jason dislikes Superman. So being forced to work with him would be nope. Not that Superman would ever be willing to work with him. His morals are too gray and shady. Like that little motherfucker hasn't done anything bad. No man that preppy isn't hiding something. Superman knows, everyone in the league probably knows, but he's the only one who would be interested. So should we expect a visit from him? Hal nodded and Jason cursed. This would have been easier if they got any information they needed, but they botched the whole damn mission. They failed, and failures are frowned upon. Always. Failures aren't given a second chance. They're loathed, sneered at, and doubted. Forgotten. Everyone fails, sure, but most people are able to hide it. Most people weren't already stained as Batman's greatest failure. And most people have people who got their back to defend them when they fail. He fucking doesn't. Ugh, this is going to be terrible. With a groan, Jason threw himself across the couch, groaning in proper, overdramatic Bat fashion. This fucking sucks. Hal laughed and shook his head, kicking softly at Jason's chin. Does it really suck that badly? Yes. Jason flailed like a child. This sucks. I don't want to deal with an asshole leaguer. But I'm an asshole leaguer. Yeah, but like a cool asshole. You're a good one. Soups is a bad asshole. Hal snorted. This fucking kid. You're being too negative, kid. It wasn't all for nothing. And Superman isn't that bad. A bit of a party pooper, sure, but not bad. He could definitely see how the two wouldn't get along, though. How was it not all for nothing? Well, we may not have found how Lex is linked to Black Mask, but we did find that Lex is doing something shady enough to warrant an army of killer robots. That is true. An army of killer robots that are made to self-destruct and destroy all evidence rather than finding a way to preserve it. That seems pretty sketchy to me. That is also true. It's sketchy, and really fucking sus. So maybe the mission was slightly, maybe, hesitantly good, as it at least confirms that Lex is doing something that probably definitely needs to be stopped, as soon as possible. Besides, what are the odds that something strange is happening within the city at the exact same time Luther is doing all this shit in the city? A city outside Metropolis. Yeah, it's all connected. And with Roman working here too, there's no way that's not all part of some greater plot. And if they are connected, which they are, it spells certain disaster. Okay, guess it's not all a waste. Exactly. See? Not totally useless. Of course, it still could have gone way better, you know, if we found proper evidence rather than circumstantial evidence, which could have happened if we did proper recon. Oh my god, what the hell? Are you ever going to let that go? Absolutely not. Hal growled, standing up and stalking to his kitchen to pull out the instant ramen he had left over. Screw Jason. The asshole shouldn't cook with the fresh burns, so they were eating shitty ramen Jason hates so much. Anyway, topic change, again. What's our next move? We sleep tonight. I think Lex is a bust right now. After an attack, he'll have his guards up, so it'd be better to go after one of Siona's shipments. Maybe see if that asshole has anything. He is sloppier than Lex, if nothing else. So maybe he'd have something to lead them in the right direction. Okay, when you heal, tomorrow. I'll be ready tomorrow. But your burns, I've had worse. Let me finish a damn sentence. Oh my god, you have no fucking manners. You are taking tomorrow off. I will go do recon. And yes, proper recon. No contact with the enemies until you're with me. Happy? I'll report back what I find and you will rest. But no buts. I am not going to be responsible for you getting yourself killed. Jason scowled, slumping further into the couch as he glared at Hal, but fuck you. I'm not taking arguments here. This is non-negotiable. I'm not a child. You can't treat me as one. You are. Hal dropped the shitty ramen on Jason's lap and sat next to him. But I promise I won't treat you as a child as long as you take care of yourself so I don't have to report back to Daddy Bats his kid died in my city. I'm going to make you regret treating me like a child. But fine, I'll take tomorrow off. But after tomorrow, I'm back in the field. He gets it. He would have hated to be the one to tell Bruce that he died. Not that the bastard would have done anything about it. But the bat can still be very scary and hit very hard. Okay, it's a deal. Bruce, I'm telling you, Luther is up to something. That warehouse explosion, it's not caused by faulty wiring. Clark was in Wayne Manor, sitting across from his friend as they shared a cup of tea. Luther would never allow faulty wiring in his building. Luther is up to something? I'm shocked. Clark frowned, huffing out a small breath. I don't appreciate this sarcasm. Shaking his head, Bruce allowed his lips to tick up into a small smile. Come on, Clark. Luther is always up to something when not imprisoned. He goes around Metropolis like he owns the place, which, when thinking about it, he does, sort of. He owns half the buildings there. Yeah, but he's not in Metropolis. That did make Bruce pause. What? Oh, Clark leaned forward, devious smirk on his lips. Did the great Batman not know? It was Bruce's turn to let out a small huff of air. Apologies, I didn't think it was my responsibility to keep track of your villains. Where is he? Straight to business, as always. Coast City, Batman frowned. Black Mask has been sending shipments there. He leaned back in his seat as he took a long sip of tea. They're connected. He has no doubt. Clark nodded his agreement. Is Bruce Wayne going to be taking a business trip to Coast City? I believe he is, Bruce smiled. I expect to see you there, Mr. Kent. Of course. How could I ever pass up a story? Alright guys, and that's the end of chapter 5 of Glowsticks and Bullet Holes by Hyperius. I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you next chapter.